I'm Chris Murphy.
And I'm Jennifer Logan.
And we're the Community Theater Heroes.
We host a weekly podcast where we interview theater companies,
actors,
casting directors,
playwrights,
composers,
and other theater artists to give our listeners helpful advice, tips, and insight for their own careers.
And life in general, because we believe that live theater has the power to make the world a better place.
Hey everyone, this is episode 13 of the Community Theater Heroes podcast. I'm Sarah Fuller, the new production manager.
In this episode, we interview Jaynie Roberts, the artistic director of Magenta Theater in Vancouver, Washington. Jaynie talks about building a community with your theater, as well as some really great audition advice for actors.
Hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Community Theater Heroes podcast. Today, we have two very special guests. One is a co-host who are you?
I am Sarah Fuller.
Oh my gosh. Sarah killed Jen and took her spot as co-host. Now, Jen could not make it for this episode, but that's okay because Sarah is amazing. Sarah, in case you didn't know, is the Community Theater Heroes production manager.
Yay!
We're going to get her a shirt made.
With cape.
With a cape.
That's
We
been
talked
requested.
about that with a
yes,
cape.
It's been requested.
And then also we have our very special guest for today's episode, Jaynie Roberts. Jaynie is the artistic director of the Magenta. It's just Magenta, not the Magenta.
It's correct. It's Magenta
Theater in
Magenta
Vancouver,
Theater.
Washington.
But people refer to it as the Magenta.
Do they?
Yes.
Yeah.
When they get sort of close to us.
Yeah.
The Magenta.
I love working at the Magenta.
Yes.
Yes. Why Magenta? I've actually wondered.
Nobody's ever asked me that question in all these 16 years.
Nuh-uh.
No,
Really?
I get asked all the time.
All the time. Okay. I was really excited for a second.
Acting.
Oh, yes.
So around the time that I started the company, we had Vancouver Community Theater, and there were other companies that sort of referenced Vancouver or Clark County. And I thought, I want something different that people will ask, what does that mean? And so I like the color magenta, and I decided, well, I'll just call it Magenta Theater. It doesn't stand for anything. It just looks good on clothes.
It does. When I first met you, I thought Magenta was your last name or something. I don't know. I know that's so dumb. But that's what I was like, Magenta, yeah, it's her last name is Magenta, I think. And then I saw that it was Roberts, and I got really confused.
And in the beginning, when you would Google, did we even have Google back then, or was it Ask Jeeves, or whenever you would go online and say
Yahoo.
Magenta,
Oh, yeah.
Magenta Theatre never came up. It was always the reference to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, character Magenta.
Okay. So you've been a theater company for 16 years.
Yes.
That's a long time.
It's a very long time.
Yeah, not many theater companies can survive that long. And it seems like you guys are thriving, not just surviving, which is pretty cool.
Yes, we are thriving, but it's got a lot to do with a lot of people wanting to make it thrive. So it's not just me that's doing this. There's a lot of people that are having fun here.
Yeah.
It's a true community for
Yes,
you guys.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And we always say that family should come first. So that if anybody is having any issues with their families and they need to drop out of a production, we always completely understand. Because we say family needs to come first.
And you guys double cast a lot of you have understudies, not double cast.
Yes, we have understudies.
Because you've had issues in the past.
We have definitely had issues in the past. For instance, we did a show at the old building called Is He Dead? And one of the actors was hospitalized after the first weekend and couldn't come back. And so her understudy quickly got brought up to speed and did the final 2 weeks of the show.
Wow. That's
and
stressful.
then during an ice storm that we had recently, the female lead was stuck on, is it 84 that's over in Oregon?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was stuck. She couldn't get here. So her understudy went on, and about...
Was that last year during the terrible, snow apocalypse?
It was in Perfumery.
Oh yeah, I think that was like in January
It
of
was horrendous.
2017.
And
It was
so-
unbelievable.
So when the actor actually arrived, she got ready, walked on stage, touched the understudy on the shoulder. The understudy turned around, they hugged, the understudy left, and the overstudy just continued in the role.
Oh, what a fantastic
It
experience.
it was the best, and the audience applauded. They were so with them the whole way.
That's fun. You guys are always doing so much. In fact, like, if you can hear, I don't know if the microphone's picking it up, but upstairs right now, rehearsal is in progress.
A very active
Yeah,
rehearsal.
it's like they're tap dancing on our head for Boeing. And then tonight you have your black chair reading of...
Yes, vintage Hitchcock.
Yeah. So you guys, like, how many shows a year do you do?
We do 5 main stage productions. Each one has usually 9 to 10 performances. Then we have 8 improv shows and 4 black chair projects. But this year, I think we're going to actually get 5 black chair projects.
What are the black chair projects if no one is familiar with Magenta?
We wanted to do stuff that was a little more edgy. And we have an audience base that has enjoyed seeing what we put on for the past 16 years. So we didn't want to mess around with that too much. So we decided, well, if we do staged readings of these edgier shows, then it would perhaps attract a slightly different audience, and we could maybe get away with a little bit more than we could during a main stage show. So it was an experiment. And the first one that we did, well, we did some sort of staged readings at the old building, but we really got into the Black Chair project in this facility here. And the first one we did was called Love, Loss, and What I Wore. Kind of, a little bit edgier than what we usually do, and people loved it. And people complained that there was only one performance. So we said, well, that's part of the magic. We have very few rehearsals, we have one performance. And people keep saying, you need to do 2 performances, you need to do more. Nope, that's the magic. And as soon as we stop doing one and we do multiple performances,
They won't sell out.
nope, they won't.
And that's what's cool. Well, it's really the smart business practice too when you think about it, because you're only doing 4 or 5 rehearsals. You got to pay the rights for that show, and you're guaranteed to sell out. Like, you're
Yes.
maximizing your profit with that.
Yes.
Do you normally precast your black chair shows?
No,
or?
it's a blend of having auditions or precasting. It's really up to the director. I had auditions for a couple of the Black Chair projects, and they were well attended, but sometimes you just know who you want. And when you've only got 4 or 5 rehearsals, you want to be working with people that you know that they'll deliver the product that you're looking for.
Right. So you had mentioned that you don't have a lot of young actors here at Magenta. So, like, what is your demographic, like, in terms of the people that come and perform and participate, and then also in terms of audience?
We have a lot of women, and I know that that is not unique. There are not that many men that are available to do community theatre productions. There are a lot of 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s women, but not necessarily a lot of teens or people in their younger 20s. And so that's why we avoid doing a lot of plays that require a lot of young people. We just did Emma, a pop musical, and it was not easy to cast because at the audition there were no young men.
Oh.
None. So we put a call out to all of the local schools, and we actually did end up with a great cast. But it was pretty scary at first because young people are either involved in the productions at their high school or their college, or they're working all the time. So that's a bit tricky to try and cast a show that's significantly made up of young people.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, and then you're probably also competing, because there are a lot of young actors in Portland, but they may be like too afraid to venture over the river.
Yeah, and the other thing is that there are some community theatre companies or community-based companies here in Vancouver, but they're mostly musical theatre.
Really, I wasn't aware of. Who are...
Yes, we've got Jaynie Theatre,
Oh yeah.
and we've got Metropolitan Performing Arts, and so they do mostly musicals. So the young people are gravitating towards those companies
Gotcha.
and may not be interested so much in doing a straight play.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what about in terms of audience? What is your demographic? Like,
I think it's pretty typical.
pretty typical.
We have a lot of senior citizens, and we have a lot of, how should I say this? It's a very vanilla audience here in Vancouver. There's not a lot of diversity, and I would really like to change that.
Old white people. Jaynie just,
I'd
she
really
doesn't
like
say old white people.
I'd really like to change that.
Yeah.
But when you're drawing from a pool that is vanilla,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of options that you can draw from. I did try and gather a group of people around me. This was last year, shortly after I'd come back from the UK. Because when you see theatre in the UK, you're not seeing the same kind of theatre as you do here. You will see a black woman who has a white son in a play. But that's not what the play is about. It just happens to be an actor who is a black woman and an actor who is a white male.
It's just simply the casting of who is best
Yeah,
for
it
the
is.
part.
And they don't make a big deal of it. And I thought, I would so love to be able to do that. To be able to cast people just because of their acting abilities, not because of what they look like. And so I gathered some people around me, and we had this big discussion as to how we were going to make this happen. And there's just nobody to draw from. I think there are a lot of actors in Portland that are actors of color, but again, it's that I-5 bridge crossing the river. Ooh, we don't know that we want to go over to Vancouver.
I don't think people realize how close Magenta is to Portland a lot of times too.
Well, and that bridge can really be, even though it's the first exit off of I-5 coming off the bridge, that bridge can be like a big hurdle for people. And I don't think they realize.
The traffic's horrible. One of the shows that I wanted to do this year was To Sew with Love.
Never heard of that show.
Have you heard of it? There was a movie with Sidney Poitier, and Lulu sang the title song.
Oh, it's a good movie.
And I thought, we could probably pull this off. We probably could.
Right.
We would need a black male actor, not African American, because he's not African American, and we would need a teenage black male actor. And what I wanted to do was to have an audition where I would have a lot of choices so that I could really cast the right actors, the ones that could play the roles the best. And there is no actor pool to draw from. There really isn't. So we've put it on hold.
Oh, that's too bad.
In the hopes that
really
maybe
sad.
someday we will have a more diverse pool of actors to draw from. And I think then when you have a diverse pool of actors, then your audience becomes more diverse.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can start having your slightly more edgy things that you're really hoping to be able to do
Yeah.
with your vanilla audience.
Yes. Now, we do sort of, we have been introducing more and more elements of, people that haven't seen a play at our theatre in quite a while will say to me, "Oh, you would have never done that before." I said, "I know. We're getting a little more. We're bringing our audiences along."
Like what?
Yeah,
like
it's that
what
slow
shows, for instance?
progression to kind of make sure they stay with you.
Yes, and some people don't like musicals. Some people don't like murder mysteries. Some people don't like farces. So, we try,
Sarah's directing a farce right now.
We try and do a blend of everything so that there will be something for everyone at least once a year.
Yeah, yeah. And it's tough because, like you said, you do have that maybe vanilla audience, and you don't want to alienate them. Like we're used to, the way you do the way you do things, and it would be probably jarring because it seems like your fan base is really committed. Your audience, they come to every show.
They do. And there are a lot of our audience members that I have become friends with outside of the theatre. So it's been a nice way to grow a circle of friends as well. And don't get me wrong, I know I'm vanilla, even though I'm a foreigner and I'm an
edgy.
immigrant. But they are the bread and butter.
They're gonna
that
keep
audience
the-
space. Yes,
Yeah.
They're what keeps the lights on, and
exactly.
Yeah.
And when I went to the theatre in London just recently, it was pretty similar over there too. And London is a lot more diverse than we are here. But again, the people that were sitting around me would have fit in very well in a Magenta audience.
What are some shows that you would like to do? Like if audience and casting wasn't an issue, what's a show you would love to see Magenta do?
Besides To Sow With Love, I'd love to do Lilies of the Field.
ooh,
That again was a Sidney Poitier movie. I would love to do Guys and Dolls.
Oh, Guys and Dolls. I think you could pull Guys and Dolls off here.
It would be mostly Guy and Dolls.
But Guys and Dolls, it's one of those shows that you're gonna get a lot of
pull people just
talented
for the
people from
show
Portland,
itself.
like Boeing. You got Johnny Torres to come out from Portland because it's a great play and he's a great actor that lives in Portland. And there's gonna be a lot of. I think Magenta. I think you guys are growing a little bit too. Like you're getting your name out there a little bit more.
Some of our actors drive a very long way.
Oh, no,
get
Tony,
here.
Tony he drives from.
Casey Cooper.
Oh, does she?
People
Okay.
drive in from Lake Oswego, Beaverton, Happy Valley.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
gracious.
long way.
That is a
Boring,
long drive.
boring.
Boring. Oregon.
Yeah, boring Oregon.
Wow.
I mean, they're driving a very long way.
Wow.
And our audiences are also coming from, they're actually venturing across the river too.
Yay! As they should.
As they should.
Well, maybe you could start introducing some of these more edgy shows, like with your Black Chair projects. Like so one-time thing. Anyway, it could be an interesting experiment. So, well, you've sat through a lot of auditions, I'm sure, like that you've casted.
Yes.
What are some things that actors are doing right now to hurt themselves in auditions?
They are showing up without a headshot when that is all we are asking. Bring a headshot. And then you're having to take pictures with your iPhone, and then you're thinking, who was this person?
It's hard to remember faces when there's
Exactly.
that many of them.
And people that are showing up, it's not so much that we want people to dress up for an audition, but show that you care, that you have enough respect for the process, that you're going to at least be clean and have on a nice outfit. If you are coming straight from working in the garden and you're covered in soil, but you explain, I'm sorry, I just got here from working in the garden, fine. But if you're showing up looking a mess because you don't care, then the director
Kinda sends a message.
The director sort of thinks, well, is this person going to be reliable? Are they going to be showing up late for rehearsals? What is their level of commitment?
Is there anything else too besides those two things?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Definitely.
If they want to become your best friend straight away.
Red flag.
Oh yeah,
Really? Do people do that? You think
Yes.
so? Like,
Yes.
oh yeah. I appreciate when someone comes up and shakes my hand and says, thank you very much for the opportunity to audition. But when you know that they're not going to leave after that little encounter, that they're just going to sort of hang out and talk to you more and demonstrate that they're really funny or really talented, then you think, oh, this person is way too overbearing. I don't think I can possibly work with them.
That's interesting. I think
The
Sarah
difference,
said
it's the difference
something
between
about
polite and kind of creepy a little bit.
Sarah, didn't you say something recently like if you dismiss someone from an audition and you find out that they don't leave, they're still in the lobby, like it really angers you.
Well, no, I wouldn't say
Or
maybe angers, but it's frustrating because I could be, you could be dismissing someone from an audition for a plethora of reasons. Like you've seen exactly what you wanted to see from them, and it was great, and you're like, hey, sweet, I'll call them back for callbacks, or I'll cast them.
Yeah.
But if they don't listen to you, that's a red flag. If they stick around when you've dismissed them, and like that's disobeying a direct order, that kind of thing.
Or if they come up to you. I had an actor come up to me. It wasn't a show that I was casting for, but they knew that I was sort of involved here. And they said, I just want you to know that I've only read twice. And they weren't for the parts that I really wanted to read for. And I would really like to read for this part. So, well, why are you telling me?
That's so weird.
And so they sort of make a beeline for people that they think they'll get
Have
in
authority
with
or
to see if they can
winnow their
That
way
makes
up.
sense.
Yeah.
That's a red
You
flag.
had mentioned something a second ago, like you don't mind when people come up and shake your hand afterwards. Now, like I'm in this weird place. When I go to an audition, I think I used to do that when I was right out of college, but now it's like I just want I'll thank people,
Flee.
but I want to leave. Like I don't know if I should shake their hand anymore or if I should just leave. I'll thank them, like thank you guys so much for your time, but I feel so awkward about approaching the table and shaking their hand. I feel like it might be too much. I don't know. Like, does that ever bother you guys when?
Well, you have to do it in a subtle way. So
So-
you can't come over and be like, thank you very much, and, big bold, shaking everybody's hand.
Yeah.
And, ha, ha, ha. But if you just come over and very quietly say, thank you so much, I really appreciated auditioning for you, and then leave.
Okay.
It does kind of make you stand out a little
Does
bit.
it? Does
Oh,
it?
yeah, exactly.
Unless you're buried way up in the audience at a table, then it's
So it'd be really awkward as they
Yeah.
walk up the
like they're
the
walking
steps,
up the steps,
climbing over
down
chairs
to
to
the-
get to you.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be really okay.
Oh, and look at what you're wearing. If you come into an audition and you're wearing a very revealing shirt, man or woman, it doesn't matter, and hot pants, and so that your appearance is distracting, that's also sort of not really appreciated.
Right.
Because then you know that they're focusing more on look at my body rather than look at my talent.
Okay. A couple other questions. What is Magenta Theater's mission? Like, do you have a mission statement?
We do. Magenta Theater exists to create community and entertainment one stage at a time.
Community and entertainment.
At
One
first,
stage
we
at a
didn't
time.
have the entertainment in there, so we sort of trimmed it down. Recently, we trimmed it down. It was creates community. All right, we've always said we create community. But then, what if people, when you take out the rest of the mission statement, which we did, people go, well, is it a community center? What do you do
that's
there?
funny. That's
So we
funny.
thought, well, maybe we should put the entertainment aspect back in so people are clear that
that you're a theater and not
Right.
somewhere to go and hang out for
yeah.
the afternoon.
It really does seem like there is a huge feeling of community at Magenta, and how do you grow that? Like, how do you create that? Because it's not artificial.
one of the things that I try to nip in the bud is gossip. You cannot get rid of gossip completely, but I think if you make a conscious effort to not encourage gossip, then it becomes a safer place. We also have lots of things that go on outside of the shows. We do a movie night. We have an annual awards ceremony that we invite not just the actors to, but the volunteers. And we have a very active volunteer coordinator who makes sure that people are still engaged and still feeling safe and still feeling happy and valued. And we also actually have an online prayer group. So if there's anybody that is looking for additional help in a spiritual way, that we have a group of people here at Magenta that will pray for you.
That's really fascinating. Right on. Well, we're about to wrap up, but you have some auditions coming up here
do.
at Magenta.
We've got auditions for Baskerville coming up very soon.
What is Baskerville?
Baskerville? Well, it's a Sherlock Holmes mystery.
Oh, that's so exciting.
It's by Ken Ludwig, and it's just a few actors playing multiple parts.
Oh, I love those kinds of shows so much.
And those auditions are coming up in June, on June 18th.
Okay. And when are the performances for that show?
Performances are in September. We're not doing a December main stage show this year. We decided not to do that, thinking we would take the month of December off. But what happened was people saw that there was nothing happening in December, so we've added a rock choir event, and we have an improv Christmas event, and there may just be maybe another black chair event. So the schedule is slightly off by 1 month this year, so Baskerville will be in September instead of October.
And then you also have auditions for another show in August.
Yes.
What show is that?
Once Upon a Palace Purple. It's the 10-year revival.
And it's a show you wrote.
I wrote it, and it has been rewritten. It's been updated. There were a lot of things in the original script that when we did a read-through of it a few months ago, things like pagers. You know, one of the characters carried a pager, And we realized,
Yeah,
it's an anachronism because it's a fairy tale, but really, who has a pager anymore?
Right.
So it has been completely updated.
Well, that should be fun and exciting. Thank you so much, Jaynie. We really appreciate you, and thank you for letting us come down into Magenta's basement and record today. Thank you. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
I think that just about does it. Thank you for showing an interest.
She's gritting her teeth like, oh, God, is this over yet?
Yes.
Thanks, Jaynie. And thank you, Sarah, for stepping in today. And
Always happy to help.
heck yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's our show. Thanks so much for listening.
We want to thank Jaynie and the rest of Magenta Theater for allowing us to come out and record. If you'd like to learn more about Magenta Theater, go to magentatheater.com, I assume. And if you'd like to learn more about Community Theater Heroes, go to communitytheaterheroes.com. As always, if you like the episode, please like us on Facebook. Or, you people. Or, I'm not editing this.
Subscribe!
communitytheaterheroes.com.